Who is the best player in the United States? To be honest, I don't have a concrete answer. I can't say that because Data won the championship and Regime was FMVP. He is the strongest player in the United States. I think there are several players here in the US vying for the #1 spot. One of them is Anthony Edwards, the protagonist of this analysis report. There will be some fans who think that Wentz has not improved, and breaking the ball is still a big problem. The team's record is worse than last season. However, is this really the case? Player season analysis will list where players improved and declined last season and this season. He will also say that he brings hidden value to the team, and will analyze the value of a player based on details on and off the field. In other words, it will be divided into regular season playoff promotion and existing game value. 4 parts of targeted suggestions. Of course, this player will also be given a comprehensive rating. This will be in part 3. So if you like this player, remember to like, collect, and forward it. Let us analyze objectively together. First, let me tell you that this regular season is the most powerful regular season of Hwazi's career. During the regular season, Hwazi was the strongest shooting guard in the league, and it's not the same as the 3 major shooting guards in the same echelon in the past. This season, Hwazi has truly come to his own stage. We also need to consider that the Timberwolves roster is slightly down. Part of it is age. The other part is injuries. Anyway, this Timberwolf is still talented and energetic, but it's not as arrogant as last season. Hwazi has greatly improved his own projection efficiency. Hwazi averaged 20.4 shots per game in the regular season last season, basically the same 20.2 times this season. The shooting percentage increased from 44.7% last season to 48.9%. 3-point attempts have decreased, reduced from 10.3 times to 8.4 times. The hit rate is basically the same, 39.5% last season, 39.9% this season. The number of free throws has increased, 6.3 times last season, 6.4 times last season. This season it is 7.2 times, although only 1 free throw was added. But you need to consider that Hwazi's treatment is not that good. He got the free throw by overpowering the forward. When I first started watching football, that is to say, it was easier to acquire the free throw style in the mid to lower 1990s. Modern basketball is not that easy. This is also the first time in his career that his true shooting percentage has exceeded 60%, reached 61.7%. In a sense, Hwazi shows more focused game value. In simple terms, on the contrary, he doesn't have so many bells and whistles, or additional competition tasks that need to be undertaken. His defensive end also reduces the load to a certain extent. The bad news is that his distractions off the ball will increase. The good news is that this will improve his offensive efficiency, can also reduce errors. What's more important is that under clearer circumstances, he can improve performance on both offense and defense in key rounds. I just said that Hwazi is reducing the burden on the defensive end. It's not that he can't defend. The differences this season also intend to reduce his tasks. Focus on leveraging your own strengths on the field. And when it comes to the bayonet round, both sides must fight. Hwazi can fully display his talents. If we only talk about critical moments, the top defensive line or Hwazi are the highest value of the Timberwolves. I know there will be a lot of objections to saying this or explaining it this way. Timberwolves' defense architect is Rudy Gobert, and the one who can set up a defensive network is Maidon. However, if you only look at certain rounds, you need to defend the opponent's first attacker. Hwazi will behave horribly. You can understand it as normal Hwazi defends 70 points, even lower sometimes. And in situations where he is interested and has to take responsibility, he will reach the level of above 95 points. This is understandable. Modern basketball's rapid transition between offense and defense consumes a lot of physical energy. It is already difficult to use one core to perform both perimeter defense and core offense. Hwazi's characteristic of getting stronger when he encounters a strong opponent is also reflected in his offense. For example, at the All-Star game he showed I have to win. I want to put on a good show of respecting a strong enemy. In addition, Hwazi's key ball ability has also been certified. His name is also included in the season's Mr. Key nominations. Honestly, if it's about critical rounds, I need high-level development, especially when time is running out. My personal first choice is Hwazi. Hwazi's critical 2-point field goal percentage is as high as 70.8%. There are also 37.8% three-pointers in order to facilitate everyone's understanding. During the regular season, among players who have made more than 30 key 2-point shots, ranked 3rd is CC with a 60.3% hit rate. Second, SGA has a 60.9% shooting rate. Hwazi is the only one in the league who has reached 70%. In addition, he is also the player with the most key 3-point shots in the league. And in personal offense with the ball, he averaged 5.9 singles per game. Ranked 3rd in the league, score 1.04 points per possession. 5th in league. The low post also has 1.08 points per possession. Pick and roll ball handling can also reach 1 point per round, combining 1.31 points per possession in spot-ups and 1.29 points in cutting, and 1.29 points per possession in transition. Hwazi has almost no real weaknesses in single-target offense. If you want to say that he must attack with the ball, that's really not true. He can be used as a space point waiting for teammates to pass the ball. Also extremely spiritual. It's just that, relatively speaking, the Timberwolves didn't involve many tactics to take advantage of his air-cutting advantage. He can hold the ball 35.3% of the time. Also has a 49.6% catch rate. The large vacancies are also as high as 48.1% after reaching a critical moment and falling into a talent war. This is his real comfort zone. It also makes it easy for him to enter the zone state, so he can fight the Spurs for 40 minutes. Even if he loses, he can still score 55 points efficiently. Among them, 16 three-pointers were scored and 9 were made. He can also catch the ball unreasonably. Let's have a talent-limited three-pointer. He can also absolutely lock down the opponent's strongest attacker in key rounds. During the regular season, Huazi achieved the strongest version of himself for the time being. Not being selected for the best team is a matter of love. Played 61 games in the cold season. Averaged 28.8 points in 35 minutes per game. Career high. Third in the league this season. 5 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.4 steals, 0.8 blocks, 2.9 turnovers, 3-term hit rate 48.9%, 39.9%, 79.6%, averaged 3.4 hits per game. Fourth in the 3-point league, scored 9.6 points inside. This is the regular season version of Huazi, the best shooting guard. To be honest, although the playoffs were affected by injuries, and the team is not in perfect condition either, Huazi also needs to take on more additional tasks. Taken together, these circumstances let Huazi naturally not compete in the playoffs while being himself. But precisely because of this, on the contrary, I think Huazi had many outstanding performances in the playoffs, and he has a pattern and leadership qualities that transcend the field. Huazi began to suffer from knee injuries when facing the gold medal series. From the perspective of perception, he is slower than himself, but the explosive power is still terrifying. The problem is that he feels a little uncomfortable when walking around, and his touch is not good either. No game in the series hit more than 40%, but there is one thing to note: when the main fingerprint dealer has no feeling, how does Huazi show his value on the field? He is involved in more miscellaneous, including defensive end, including fighting. He does a great job protecting rebounds, not counting injuries and early exit in G4. Huazi grabbed 24 rebounds in the first 3 games. In addition, he will not avoid taking shots because of his poor shooting feel. He still won't hesitate when it's time to attack and will give me a chance to play singles, even if the legs and feet are not very agile. In one-on-one opportunities, Huazi is still a top existence, and he also used his own offensive power to contain, can create more direct shooting opportunities for teammates. What's more important is the characteristics of the stadium. This is very subtle, but it is very important for a leader player. Fans can use injuries as justification for their favorite players. The stars standing on the battlefield don't have many excuses. They can only move their bodies along the hull to infect their teammates. Let them all become their comrades in arms. This quality gives weight to every word you say, and it can also inspire the will of teammates. After Huazi's absence, the entire Timberwolves team is united. Defeat Jiwajin with stronger defense, and facing the Spurs in the second round. Huazi also gave vigorously. However, the actual situation of the team is not optimistic. DiVincenzo is out for the season. It's not about other people's efforts. It can supplement the stadium contribution, and Huazi was testing the waters in the first 2 battles. On the one hand, it is to look at the actual degree of recovery from the injury. His on-court performance also tends to be cautious. It's not that he has no chance of direct breakthrough, but in the first 2 games, he needs to allow his body to adapt to the court while. Also due to the shortage of major generals, his actual on-field duties are also increasing. This naturally includes his time as an opener. Yes, you read that right. During the playoffs, Edwards needs to assume his role in the open position. Responsibility. This is also one of the arrangements of differences. Of course, after the Timberwolves were eliminated by Moss with a score of 4-2, the differences were also mentioned in the interview. The problem of moving Huazi to an open position. Of course, from my perspective as a bystander, this also gives Huazi another feeling on the court. Possibility of improvement. Although Huazi does not take creative scoring as an advantage, it also allows him to think more. After all, focus on doing the breakup. Because the team has injury problems, you have to admit the organizational tasks. You need to take into account your original role and also need to lead your teammates. It was a big challenge. Although they lost in the series against Maji, Huazi showed the style that an excellent cornerstone should have both on and off the court. He averaged 23.7 points per game in the series, 5 rebounds, 2.54 assists, 0.7 steals. Shooting percentage 46.9%, 3-point shooting percentage 37.5%. In one game, he had 32 points, 14 rebounds and 6 assists. In the G4 game, he scored 36 points and 6 rebounds. After the team loses, Huazi also has the style of a general. He said he would not be jealous if he was defeated. It won't remove acid either. The Spurs just play well. Also pay tribute to the young people. At the same time, he also said, when the big score is 2-20, he is very confident that he can lead his opponent into the Western Conference Finals. Obviously, the result is not as expected, but he will accept it wholeheartedly. Will also bless the opponent. At the same time, I am sure that I will come back. Timberwolves reporter said, the story of Huazi's injury in the playoffs. Huazi played with injuries to both knees. His performance naturally inspired the whole team. His speed and athleticism are only about 70% of normal. It only took him 8 days to return after hyperextending his knee. He inspires his teammates with his example of tenacity, and he believed it from the bottom of his heart and told his teammates, as long as he can return to the game after injury, the Timberwolves have a chance to win the championship. In order to achieve this, he pushed his body to the limit. Considering the Timberwolves' ball-holding pressure, Huazi faces defensive pressure, as well as additional team duties and his injury. I think it's a miracle. However, even with injuries, Hanako still performed very well in specific areas. His one-on-one shooting percentage is as high as 55.6%, scored 1.22 points per possession, ranked 3rd in the league. Ahead of him are OG Anunoby and Paul George. The combined average real estate output of the two people is not as good as that of Wazzy. His ability to capture singles opportunities and his success rate are extremely exaggerated, and even if the motor function is far from optimal, he is still better than others by more than one level in terms of speed and bullet speed. Let me explain here. In fact, the Timberwolves originally had a position control style. They actually have an offensive axis. That's Randall, originally relying on him as the offensive hub. In fact, it can create many opportunities for the Timberwolves. But in the playoffs, he dropped significantly, especially in the Spurs series where he struggled. It's hard to imagine a regular season period, ranked first on the team in scoring production, players with up to 1.32 points per possession. Come the playoffs, it dropped to 0.95 points per round. The output is only 70%. The Timberwolves were forced to use more talent rounds. Use your athletic ability to increase the number of impacts and consume them. Randall's downshifting will also increase Waz's burden. Observe the situation. I will add corresponding ratings to Wazzy's performance in the playoffs. This is how we can look at Wazzy in the playoffs. He is doing this when the team structure is not in playoff status. Release the limits of your injured body in the games you can play, but still excellent in singles control. The top players in the league will also maintain corresponding output, but the advantage of the three-point fold drops significantly. Whether it is catching and shooting or holding the ball and shooting the performance, both knees are affected, unable to effectively complete the casting action. And his spiritual level deserves recognition, whether it's as a leader after the game, an encouragement to the whole team, or give respect to your opponent. And don't use injuries as an excuse. Clean up your mood quickly. Plan future moves. Let people see him too. This is the true master of the Timberwolves. Although this playoff trip, Wazzy is not considered a member of the Timberwolves formation. Best performing player in 10 playoff games. Wazzy averages 32.4 minutes per game, scored 21.6 points, 5.7 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 0.5 steals, 0.7 blocks, 2.5 turnovers, 3-term hit rate 42.8%, 31.7%, 82.4%, true shooting rate 53.3%, scored 7.6 points inside, averaged 2 3-pointers per game. Looking at Wazzy from the regular season stage, reaching the pinnacle of personal career, we can bring it up and discuss it like this. Among the 5 players selected to the All-NBA first team, according to regular season performance, SGA Wembanyama, can be said that making an appointment with the teacher is uncontroversial. One is the first player in the regular season. One is the defensive devil. One is the strongest offensive player. At least he is real during the regular season. And is CC Donich really a pressure stabilizer, or objectively speaking? Chichi Luka, Jaylen Brown, Wazzy, the performance of each other in the regular season. It can also be regarded as the first echelon with 3 kills in the regular season above. Wazzy's improvement in the regular season compared to the past is mainly due to 2 parts. On the surface, it seems that his shooting percentage has improved. The more intrinsic reason is that he optimized his own shots. Last season, Wazzy accounted for 49.7% of his 2-point shots. 3 points account for more than 50%. This season, the 2-point shot rate has reached 58.2%. 3-point attempts dropped to nearly 40%. To be more detailed, at 10 to 16 feet versus 16 feet to the 3-point line, 2 mid-range areas, Wazzy's projection ratio has also increased accordingly. Especially the proportion of 10 to 16 feet has nearly doubled. We all know that these 2 areas are key areas for attackers, especially 10 to 16 feet. Of course, we can expand the area to 4 to 14 feet. Look at it more clearly. Being in this middle position is a great test of the ball holder's comprehensive shot development ability, especially now that there are more swipe defenses. The performance of luck control is slightly weak or the ability to escape is insufficient. You could fall straight into a trap, and if you choose to compromise, if the threat is not enough, he will take action in the long 2-point area. This area is required, not the most effective killing area. As an attacker, you also need to observe your performance in the recent area during the inspection period. Wazzy, on the other hand, improved his current situation in all aspects, mainly due to his practical grasp and simplification of personal actions. Make full use of your own athletic talents. Although he is not a flashy player to begin with, but this season has become more concise, while looking for the angle of the edge of the board and the hand that picks up the basket. Live improvement skills. Simply put, it's the slider's footwork. Become more in line with your own characteristics, and the timing of attacks has been improved. Manual skills and breakthrough times. Predict the next move earlier. The sum of these comprehensive factors all help to improve its hit rate. Specifically, the basket increased from 66.7% to 74.43%. 3 to 10 feet 46% rose to 47.4%. 10 to 16 feet 35.5% to 49.5%, basically even from 16 feet to the 3-point line. Last season it was 37.2%. This season it is 37.1%. However, the output has increased significantly. The other is the injected power. In the middle distance production area, Wazzy's injected power is less than 20%. These all mean that it can solve problems by itself when it cannot open up the situation. It is worth noting that Wazzy's off-ball end, especially the air-cutting ability, can be developed. This is the limitation of the Timberwolves lineup. Let him only have a superficial taste in this aspect. This season Wazzy has really reached a level on the offensive end, compatible with team systems, an all-round attacker who can also take on personal attack. There are many attackers who actually have a dilemma. That is, they bear the responsibility of a team to tackle tough problems, without alternatives, when they feel bad at night. In addition to providing gravitational effects, limited ability to provide additional offensive support, and Huazi can be an excellent shooter. He also has extremely exaggerated conversion capabilities. At the same time, his air-cutting ability is also good enough in the part he has shown. Can even be said to be top-notch. You can say that his air cuts are not complicated. It is induced by observing the body. Quick adjustment, reverse cut, finish after catching the ball. He's not the chess type who plays psychological games with you. Focus on a big opening and closing. In addition to maintaining his own characteristics of holding the ball and shooting three-pointers, Huazi also returns to the mid-range area as a key attack point. Now he can organically combine the mid-range under the basket with the three-point line, and you can pass the ball with or without the ball in these 3 points to create effective links. To put it simply, he can give the team extremely rich tactical flexibility. Of course, this also requires paying a price. That is Huazi's actual transmission control, or it should be more accurate to say, part of his ball production has declined. It's not that his ability to play the ball has declined, but the proportion of balls produced dropped. Of course, I think this is a good thing, like increasing the hours when their seats will be available during the playoffs. We also saw that it was not the best rhythm for him and the Timberwolves. It's just that a clever woman can't be fooled by someone 5 meters away. There is no other way but to let Huazi bear the responsibility. Huazi's advantage still lies in his scoring ability. The other is Huazi's ability to grasp key balls. As I mentioned in the first part about regular season analysis, if we want to talk about highly difficult offensive development, my first choice is Huazi, especially when there is not much time left. The environment is not ideal either. On the contrary, Huazi has the least prerequisites, able to help teammates when there is insufficient help. Hand type can be developed directly after catching the ball, and his shooting percentage is extremely impressive. Regarding facing double teaming, I think he has also improved. However, this improvement has not been able to truly overcome the problem of double teaming. He'll slow down now to watch for double teams, and after the fact that the opponent brought a surprise attack, he will still rush the ball to the nearest teammate, or the body's first reaction is to find the person he thinks is safest to receive the ball. At this time, errors will occur. However, this is a difficult problem for attackers. Can't be said that he can solve it alone. Huazi can improve his decision-making ability. What's more important is what the differences say. Don't let Huazi bear too much responsibility. He also said that the team needs a ball handler and organizer. It is necessary to reduce the pressure on Huazi during the team's attack launch process. Let him return to his most natural and comfortable position. Certain player traits are like this. We shouldn't ask him to overcome a bunch of problems. It's about the team trying to find ways to help it solve the problem. Maximize his personal advantages. As mentioned in the playoff analysis section, in case of suction wounds, Huazi's singles production efficiency is amazing. And when he was healthy during the regular season, he showed scoring ability in each area. There is also the possibility of digging deeper, especially the ball-less part. In fact, disagreement does not mean doing nothing. On the defensive end, he relieved Huazi's burden. Huazi only needs to take over difficult matchups at critical moments. Of course, he himself is very happy. He needs to create maximum value on the offensive end. And this season, the differences also intentionally allow him to break into the penalty area. Find the balance between personal finishing and ball distribution. Although Huazi's assist numbers dropped, this is a matter of ball ratio. The quality of the ball or the effect of the ball has been improved. In general, I think Edwards is a top 10 player in the league when healthy. Overall rating, I would place it at 2A. The upper limit of key points is S. And in a healthy state, the 5 best players in the United States, we can list Cunningham, Tatum, Brunson, Jaylen Brown. We are not counting Flag, who is still growing for now. Among the 5 people, it can bring the highest limit per unit time. Huazi. Of course, I still can't say who is the more powerful one, but above the shooting guard position, Huazi is absolutely number 1. As for what else Huazi needs to add in the future, I think it's the tactical level and the health management level. His style will also gradually bring injury concerns, especially if you need it to have a mineral killing effect and those difficult developments. It also consumes the body, and when Gobert gets old, Rand will put it on the shelves. Zhang Linglang will be in Huazi, Maidan, Lida and Berga as a basis. Bringing in a true second offense is what they need. The first step to solve the problem for Huazi. In addition, Huazi spoke when he was still the leader. He said the team is doing well now. Of course, his emphasis on emotion is his charm. But we need to go further. Huazi also needs to objectively analyze the team structure. Build with management, more competitive teams rather than pure talent teams. Let's say you want to reach a championship level. Huazi is still an option. It can also be said that among the cornerstone builders of championship contenders, it is the minimum standard.